Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Maddie here, and today we're going to be doing our weekly off-meta showcase, fringe meta deck showcase, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but today we're going to take a look at a bunch of decks that aren't necessarily considered common in the current metagame, but did do well recently at online tournaments. I love doing this weekly series. I think it's really the only opportunity that I take on the channel to showcase decks that aren't necessarily proven and competitive and, meta, right? And that's what this channel is all about, where all we really do here is talk about what's best, what decks you should be playing if you want to win games, most efficiently. And I'm sure people appreciate that, but I like this video series mainly just because it's different. But anyway, before we get into it, don't forget to register for the Pocket Meds Pocket Tournament number 11. Mega Marble, I guess, is what we're calling this week's tournament. 250 big ones in the prize pool. Shout out to all of the community members that have been sponsoring and adding, money or cards to the prize pools. It really helps out the community. And if you want to donate, if you want to support the tournament series, reach out to me directly via Discord, link down in the description below. And the link's down there to go register. So go ahead, go register. December 6th at noon, the largest weekly tournament series. And I think this might be the last tournament. Maybe not, actually. That might be wrong. Is this the last tournament of the season? I don't know. I'd have to check. I don't think so. I think, we don't really know, but I believe the next set is rumored to come out on the 17th. We'll have to see. Anyway, go and register. There it is. We have 8 different decks today. Not all of these are going to be like brand new, but they're definitely, considered probably a little bit less common. But anyway, let's dive right into it. The first few decks here are going to be from the Umbreon 99 Pocket Pop-Up Tournament, which is, a smaller tournament, but these smaller tournaments are pretty cool, and they definitely allow for a bit more creativity in terms of the decks that you see. This deck here from Anile Bape, I don't know how to say the name, from the United States, was playing Charizard EX and Turtinator with Kiawe. This is a really fun deck. He went 6-3, and let's take a look at his deck list. Now, this is going to be the Crimson Storm Charizard, which is very interesting. However, we are playing Flame Patch, and what I really like about this deck is that this is sort of the type of stuff that I expected to see with Flame Patch's introduction here to the game when it came out in B1. It's a really versatile card, and it allows us to, effectively save or store energies for later in the game, and then we just play our Flame Patches, and then we can set up a Pokemon, later down the road without having to commit energies to them. Now, fire specifically does have a few ways to generate additional fire energies, but, if you're not playing Magby with Toasty Toss, there's not too many options. So what I really like here is that we're playing Turtinator. And if you guys remember the whole Kiawe Turtinator combination from, I believe, probably like 3 or 4 seasons ago, I don't even remember. It was sort of the A3 block. This is a really fun combination. Turtinator here does 90 damage for 3 energies, and you discard a fire energy from this Pokemon when you attack. However, it's got 120 HP, and it's actually a pretty strong Pokemon. This was used pretty reliably back in the day to deal with Oricorio very easily. But Kiawe is a supporter card that specifically works to power up Turtinator. In fact, basically, this card reads that you can choose one of your Alolan Marowak, which nobody plays, or Turtinator, and then take 2 fire energies from your zone and attach it directly to that Pokemon. And when you do, your turn ends. So that's sort of the big catch with Kiawe, is that your turn is over after you play it. But if you go first and you have Kiawe, right, you can basically play this on your first turn, and then on your second turn, have a Turtinator up and ready to go. So I really do like this deck. I don't know necessarily how often we would be able to get this Crimson Storm Charizard set up, because the thing with Turtinator is that we have to attach to it every time we attack, and that's really the only downside to this Pokemon, because it is strong with Kiawe, but it's discarding energies. So I guess theoretically speaking, what we can do is use Flame Patch to attach back the energy that Turtinator discards, and then manually attach that turn to Charizard, and that way we can kind of build up Charizard a little bit while manually attaching to Turtinator. I believe that the Crimson Storm Charizard here is probably mostly just to be able to take one big KO, which is definitely valuable, in a metagame with Mega Pokemon, so I can see the use here for this Charizard. But this deck list, obviously not something that people would consider to be popular or like a real, definitive meta strategy currently, but I do think a lot of people were anticipating Crimson Storm Charizard to have some relevancy in this metagame. Maybe it will moving forward. I just think for now, it's still sort of Suicune and Greninja's metagame, right? That they're definitely running the show. There's a lot of other strong cards. Good thing, we have those new cards like Hydreigon, like Altaria, and Absol and whatnot that, can kind of be at the forefront of the metagame and not just Suicune, which is nice. Oricorio also still exists, but I don't know if Crimson Storm Charizard will really ever truly enter the metagame. I could be wrong about that. We'll have to see. We even have Blaziken as well. But anyway, a pretty cool deck list. And again, he went 6-3. So shout out to this player. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the name again, but shout out to him. Next up is going to be Rampardos with Spinda. This is, again, the names are tough. Braicupono? I don't know exactly how to say it, but this is going to be like Hitmonlee and Rampardos, right? But we're playing Spinda. And I don't know if you guys know a whole lot about Spinda, but this card is hilarious. This is one of my favorite cards in the entire game. And I kind of got attacked or somebody used it against me recently, a couple weeks ago in like a viewer battle. It's really not a bad card. For 70 HP, and it's colorless, by the way, 1 energy. It does Dizzying Headbutt, does 30 damage, which is a decent amount for 1 energy. And then both active Pokemon are confused. And that's pretty funny to me because there's definitely some scenarios where confusing your opponent's active Pokemon can be really important, right? Because it basically gives them a 50-50 chance of not being able to do anything. And I think they might damage themselves in confusion. I honestly don't know. It's definitely not a common status condition in Pokemon Pocket. But this is a fun deck here. We are playing Skull Fossils, Rampardos, and then a Hitmonlee to hit the bench, double Cyrus. We're playing May as well, which I do think is a good card in Fossil decks, even though, we're not really seeing a whole lot of Fossil strategies in the game. Particularly Rampardos was the only Fossil that we really ever saw, and it's kind of been replaced in part by Hydreigon, but I still think Rampardos is a strong Pokemon. Double Copycat in May, so a lot of consistency in here where you're even playing 1 red card. And then 2 Rotom decks. Look at the top card of your deck, and then you may shuffle your deck. So I think that Rotom deck, or Rotom decks, to be 100% honest with you, is a strong card. There's going to be something in the future that allows us probably to use Rotom decks with some consistency. I'm sure there's already things in the game that do have some synergy with Rotom decks, but it's hilarious, right? You can basically, for sacrificing a card in your deck, you can see which card you're about to top deck and then choose whether you want it or you want to just sort of re-randomize and choose a different card. And I think that's actually hilarious. Like, this card is not bad whatsoever. It never really saw play in the metagame, but I do think there's definitely opportunities for this card to be a lot better. I know it's not like the most consistent thing in the world, but it's pretty funny. You can be like, oh, well, I guess the top card of my deck, is a Cyrus, and I already have a Cyrus in my hand, so I don't really need a second one. And then you just play Rotom decks, and you're like, well, chances are it's not going to be Cyrus now, so you're kind of slightly eliminating the odds of what that next card could be. But keep in mind, like, late in the game when you have like 3-4 cards in your deck, and you need to top deck like that Cyrus to win the game, like, Rotom decks can kind of do that. It's sort of funny. It can really make it a little bit more consistent. Of course, it's not guaranteeing that the card is going to change, but it's a funny card anyway. But anyway, it's Rampardos. Spinda is underrated. I really do think so. Kind of hilarious. You could play this like with any of the cards that heal from status conditions, but I don't think it's really worth it. I think the whole concept here is that we're hitting for 30 and then possibly stunning our opponent for a turn, which is kind of broken if you think about it. But anyway, big shout out to this player here. 5-2 and then 1 tie here at the Umbreon Pocket Tournament. Pocket pop-up, by the way. And then next up is going to be Magnezone, but with Galvantula. This is Cromador 1K from Ecuador. And he was playing Magnezone. Again, went 5-1-1. He was playing Magnezone, but with Galvantula. Galvantula, to me, is one of the more interesting Pokemon that we've ever had in Pokemon Pocket, because it always is like fringe meta. Ever since this card was released, some people play it sometimes, and it does somewhat well, because it's really not a bad card at all. You have the Jolteon here, which can flip a coin and potentially paralyze. But then Galvantula does 70 damage for 2 energies, and it guarantees paralysis, which is effectively incredibly strong. Like, that effect is insane. You could basically say, well, listen, I'm just gonna do 70 and then get a free next turn. Like, that's like, what? Like, that is a really, really strong Pokemon. It only has 80 HP, but it has free retreat, and I know you discard all the energies, but it's definitely not a bad Pokemon, and people have been trying to make this work. It's never fully entered the metagame, like, ever, but it's definitely not a bad card whatsoever, and we're just playing it inside Orimag. Like, just 1 copy of Galvantula here in Oricorio Magnezone, and I guess it's just, in those games in case you need to stall, and it's just another single prize Pokemon. Sure, it's taking up 2 spaces in the deck, but we just play 1 Copycat, 1 May, 1 Giant Cape. We're actually playing double elemental switch, so there is opportunities here to utilize Magneton as an actual energy battery to transfer those energies to Galvantula or Oricorio, and I think there's some potential to that as well. We kind of saw this with Raikou, right, back in the day. Raikou and Magnezone definitely saw a little bit of play, and it was kind of fun. Potentially, maybe we see stuff like that with AMpharos, but I don't really know. Either way, I do like Oricorio Magnezone in general, and this is just sort of a different variant of it. Sort of a unique combo here, pairing Galvantula and Elemental Switch into the deck list. This way, we could actually attack with Galvantula multiple times in a row, right? And like theoretically speaking, that's broken. Like imagine just like stun locking a Suicune or anything for two or three attacks and then you win the game. Like in theory, right? We're doing 210 damage in 3 attacks. So if we do get this combo out of Magneton, Galvantula, and double E-Switch, like we can literally, unless they have Pokemon Center Lady, or I guess it doesn't necessarily work against Water Shuriken, Greninja, right? Because they can just get out of the active. But in some scenarios, we can basically attack, and then the game's over, which is pretty cool. I think that's a cool strategy. Definitely fringe meta, but definitely pretty unique. So I wanted to showcase that. Anyway, next up's going to be Sneak Attack from the Fraps Drinker Lottery number 2. Giveaways plus prizes. Went 8-2-1, and this is going to be Crobat and Nihilego, but not with Mega Absol. No, it's just Crobat and Nihilego. I honestly, and this is going to be hilarious, we're going to get into this part of the video because I would not be surprised. I genuinely would not be surprised if eventually all of these decks that we see play with Mega Absol just cut Mega Absol from the deck. Because honestly, when I play Hydreigon or when I play Crobat, Absol or anything, to me, I'm thinking, well, sometimes it is nice to have Mega Absol, 170 HP, we can set it up and then maybe it wins us games. But like so many times I feel like it's an absolute liability. It's a Pokemon that, you can kind of, it can take damage on the bench with Greninjas and whatnot. It can get Cyrused up later in the game and the game's over if Absol gets KO'd. So here's literally a Mega Absol Crobat deck just without Mega Absol. And I wanted to showcase this partly because it does play into the meme on our channel here in our community that Mega Absol's really not that good of a card. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I just don't really think Mega Absol is even that worth running, and even all of the decks that are playing Mega Absol. Like, so here we are. We're just playing Crobat EX and Nihilego. And again, this is a deck very similar to something like Decidueye or even like Mega Blaziken. It's basically the same exact build here because Copycat does enable us to way more consistently be able to get Crobat out, right? And we can play Rocky Helmets, we can play Giant Cape, we can play Lily, Red Card. Like, it's just sort of traditional, typical, basic Crobat EX, but another archetype that I think is uniquely well positioned right now in the metagame, and it is something that can deal with a lot of the major threats right now. 170 HP is pretty relevant. Copycat makes it way more consistent. It's actually more damage than you would think. And the other cool thing I like about Zubat is that, if you go second and lead Zubat, like you can actually just like do like 40 damage. Like you can KO a Chingling on your first turn going second, which is pretty cool, right? But anyway, I like Crobat EX, and it's actually, I don't think ever been bad. When it came out, it was a little bit overhyped. I thought it would see a lot of play, but I think that the metagame in general just never has been that kind to it, but it's definitely not a bad card. Crobat's never been bad, and I think right now we're kind of seeing it like be somewhat relevant. I think there's a ton of potential here. Nihilego can deal with Oricorios really well. Like I like this deck. I really do. I think it's got a lot going for it. And like I said, I think it's funny because it's not playing Mega Absol. Who needs Mega Absol, right? I mean, I would not be surprised if all of these decks just cut Mega Absol from the deck, because like Hydreigon functions completely fine without it. Crobat functions completely fine without it. Honestly, maybe that's just where we're going. Maybe that's where we're going. Who knows? But definitely interesting. So shout out to Sneak Attack. What is that? 8-2-1 with Crobat. Yeah, pretty cool. Next up at the UWU tournament number 4 was playing Greninja and Mega Absol. And this is Alana here from Indonesia. Shout out to them. So we've talked about Greninja Absol before, and I wanted to showcase it just because I think some people maybe got confused or didn't really know if like this deck is still seeing play. It saw a little bit of play at our tournament this past weekend. It is still something that people are bringing to the metagame. And I think it's just sort of one of those things where like if you can't beat them, join them, right? And Greninja is extremely common in the metagame right now, specifically with Suicune, and it's one of the best cards, if not literally the best card in the entire game. But one of the countermeasures to Greninja, truthfully, is Chingling, right? Like that's the whole concept with Chingling, is it's stopping that turn 2 rare candy stuff that, a lot of these high roll decks love to do. And when you get rid of Greninja and the rare candy stuff from Suicune, it's definitely pretty powerful. So what we're doing here is just sort of, in my mind, a unique opportunity for us to be playing Water Shuriken Greninja and Chingling together. And this is probably one of the only, times you're going to see it. We are playing 1 Mega Absol, 1 Darkrai. What scares me, of course, is we don't want to lead with really any of these Pokemon, I would say, other than Chingling. So that obviously doesn't feel very good. from a consistency standpoint. But yeah, I mean, you know, the control aspect of this deck, the item lock, the bench damage, the double Cyrus, the Mega Absol, I really do like this deck. I would honestly just cut Darkrai. Maybe you do need it from the damage. I haven't actually played this deck hands-on, but maybe you do need it from a damage perspective. But yeah, Chingling, Rocky Helmet into Rare Candy Greninja, setting up your Absol on the bench. I mean, like, theoretically speaking, this deck is absolutely broken when it's kind of functioning how it's supposed to function, right? Yeah, I just think it is unique. It's really the only Greninja deck that you would ever really play Chingling in, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So Chingling is still a good card, and it's still worth playing. I just think that Altaria struggles specifically into Suicune and Greninja, mainly just because they're playing healing, they're playing Indeedee to get around Chingling, and then once the Chingling lock goes down, there's really nothing you can do, right? So I think that Altaria is clearly a deck where we see a lot of Chingling, but we even see it in Hydreigon. So why not play it with Greninja and Absol? It's a very cool control deck, and I think that there's a lot more control type strategies that have been added to the game now. This season with Mega Rising. So I would like to see it more so. I would like to see less sort of just pop off, high roll decks sort of dominating. To be fair, I would say that like Suicune Greninja is a little bit of everything. It's not really a high roll deck. It's not really like a tempo deck, and it's not really a control deck, but it's really all three of those things tapped up into one. So anyway, I do like this deck, and I think it's kind of cool, so I wanted to showcase it. Shout out to Alana. Next up here at the Storms Morning Mega Standard is my boy, my favorite Pokemon in the entire game, Mega AMpharos. Raphael, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, underscore in the middle from the United States, went 5 and 2. And I love Mega AMpharos. Unfortunately for Mega AMpharos is that it's not only a stage 2 Pokemon in a metagame with a lot of Chinglings, but it's also got a 3 energy attack cost. And sometimes it struggles to 2-hit KO Pokemon because it only hits for 100 damage. I really like this Pokemon, and I think it is, truthfully, I think it is really good. I think that Mega AMpharos is a good card. It's just very tough in a meta right now to play a little bit of a slower deck when everything is either extremely explosive in the early game or absolutely broken in the late game with like double Greninjas and stuff, right? Like, there's really no in-between right now this season. Mega AMpharos, is struggling a little bit, although I think one of the major issues with Mega AMpharos early on in the season was that it struggled into things like Altaria and Indeedee. Not only that, but it struggled into Blaziken, and those are, of course, were two very, very common strategies early in the game. So like, I think Mega AMpharos is a great answer to the whole Suicune stuff that we're seeing, but it does struggle against really all of the other commonly played Mega Pokemon, and that doesn't feel very good for Mega AMpharos. I still love this Pokemon. We're playing it with 2 Zeraora and Electrical Cord. And I actually think that this is totally viable. I think Electrical Cord is very underutilized because it's an absolutely broken card. And no one, and I mean literally, guys, nobody's playing Guzma. Okay, so like there's untapped potential here. Anybody that wants to cook up something spicy, just know that literally no one is playing Guzma. Okay, so if you want to just freely use Electrical Cord to pop off and play anything that could use Electrical Cord, like feel free, because quite frankly, nobody's playing Guzma, and you're entirely safe to do so. And I think that's pretty funny. Zeraora is traditionally a very aggressive card that is really good into Suicune and Greninja, mainly because you can attack on your second turn going first. You can 1-hit KO a Greninja, and you can 2-hit KO a Suicune. The other funny thing about Zeraora, and my favorite thing that I will always mention every single day in any video with Zeraora, is that with 90 HP, it is living an attack from a Mega AMpharos. And that's awesome. Shout out to Mega AMpharos not even KOing Zeraora. And then a Chingling, right? Because why not? Chingling's broken, and we don't really want to lead off with Mareep. So yeah, keep that in mind. I like Mega AMpharos. I do. And I'm going to defend it till the day I die. This deck went 5 and 2. Shout out to Raphael. Honestly, I think if there's any time to be playing a deck list like this, like Mega AMpharos, it would be late, like at the very end of the season where everybody is just defaulting to Suicune. You might struggle against Hydreigon, but maybe not, right? Because, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Who knows? I mean, Lily, 210 HP with Lily, we're actually living 2 attacks from a Hydreigon, which is pretty cool, right? And Chingling as well. So there you go. Anyway, shout out to Mega AMpharos. I just wanted to showcase it. Some people are playing it still these days, so I love it. Next up is going to be Yoshi115 from Japan at the Narnia's Training Ground. I think this past weekend. who had 3 full art Professor's Oaks in their prize pool, which is crazy, by the way. Shout out to Narnia's Training Ground, number 11. What a tournament. But 5-2, this is Yoshi playing Mega Absol and Dusknoir. I wanted to talk about this because I don't really remember if I really covered this whole strategy on the channel much. It was definitely a little bit more popular early on in the season. Some people play Dusknoir with literally anything. People have played it with, Absol. They've played it with, I think, like Blaziken or Altaria. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, for Dusknoir, and I think that this is a card that definitely does pretty well with Mega Pokemon and their high HP pool. And the whole concept of Mega Pokemon, which is that they're really strong, but they need to not ever get KO'd and the game's over. So what Dusknoir does with Shadow Void is it allows you to basically choose one of your own Pokemon, and then move all of the damage on that Pokemon to Dusknoir. Now, it has 130 HP, clearly, so if you're moving more than 130 damage, Dusknoir will KO itself. But the broken thing about Dusknoir that I haven't really seen anybody fully be able to utilize it is that if Dusknoir has, let's just say 10 HP, and Mega Absol just got hit for 120 damage, you can actually heal that full 120 damage off Mega Absol, and then it'll still work. Like, even if you don't have that HP available on Dusknoir, it'll just sort of over KO Dusknoir by 110, which is broken, and that effectively is kind of crazy. Now the tough part about Dusknoir is that it's a stage 2 Pokemon, so you can only really play it with like, basic Pokemon or other decks, I guess, that would be a little bit, because it's a consistency problem. It's hard to get this thing out and running. You certainly don't ever want it in the active spot. There's a lot of issues with Dusknoir, quite frankly, even though the ability is kind of broken. And I think that's always been the downside to this particular deck is consistency. And I think Dusknoir, while really cool and does make sense, I think it was never consistent enough to be a real meta strategy, even though it kind of, I think it was popular maybe like over in like the Japanese audience early on in the season, but I never really caught on, and it's not really something you see anymore. But this was an example of one recently that did fairly well at a tournament. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a cool deck. And again, another problem with it, 5-2, by the way. Another problem with Dusknoir too is that Greninja exists, right? So like, there's definitely opportunities where, Suicune's going to hit Mega Absol for like 120, and then Dusknoir is going to heal, and then it goes down to 10, and then Greninja can just ping it, right? So like, it's also like, you can just ping a Dusknoir and then bring it up in the active. Like, there's so many things that can go wrong when you're playing Dusknoir. It really is like a massive hamper from a consistency standpoint, but it's very cool. I wanted to showcase it. I couldn't remember if we've talked about this at all on our channel so far. I remember a lot of people asking me about it, like on streams early on in the season, and I just kind of brushed it off because I was like, I could never see this deck or this strategy being like truly meta because of its consistency problems, but it is really cool. So there you go. But shout out to Yoshi. And lastly is going to be Froggy X Valdin, which is playing Jolteon. And this was at our Pocket Meds Pocket Tournament this past weekend. Went 6-3, did make day 2. I just wanted to give a shout out to somebody that made day 2 that we didn't get the opportunity to talk about on Monday. And we've covered Jolteon on the channel, but listen, everyone loves Jolteon, and people are going to ask me all the time, is Jolteon a good one? Like, should we be playing it? I'll be entirely honest with you. I don't think Jolteon's a good card. And I know some people are like, listen, I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's good. I think uniquely, the thing with Jolteon is that it has everything going for it on paper, where it's a lightning type Pokemon. We have boosted evolution Eevee. Hydreigon is running around everywhere. Suicune Greninja is running around everywhere. Jolteon EX should be as good as you could possibly imagine. And it is. It's just still not a very good card. And that's inherently the problem here. It's just not that good. It hurts me to say that. But hey, I mean, I think, and I'm no disrespect to Valdin because he's an incredible player. He just chose to play kind of a unique deck this week, specifically because he knew he was probably going to play a lot of Suicune and Greninjas. In fact, let's check his matches, and we see that he played 1, 2, and 3, and guess what? He went 3-0 into Suicune Greninja. He just unfortunately lost to an Altaria Dusknoir deck, who ended up going 3-2. Lost to Super Piece playing Blaziken, and then lost to an Altaria Alpha, who went 8-2. Right, so like, specifically, it's going to do pretty well into the matchup in which you think you should be playing this deck into, which is Suicune and Greninja, and also probably Hydreigon. But as soon as you hit anything else, like, the deck is really not that good. I think that's kind of crazy. But anyway, that's my opinions about Jolteon. Again, I wanted to give a shout out to Valdin, because we didn't get the opportunity to showcase him on Monday, and it was technically an off-meta deck. We've covered Jolteon before in the channel. I like it. I do like Jolteon. I just can't sit here and tell you that I think it's like a real meta strategy. And I think at this point, people sort of know that it's probably not. You know what I mean? Like, but it is cool. It is cool. And it's probably as good right now as it ever will be. So honestly, my recommendations out of any of the decks today, Jolteon might be up there, even though I just don't think it's that good of a card. It is very well positioned right now. The metagame is all Suicune, Greninja, and Hydreigon. Or Hydreigon. Hydreigon. Yeah, so there you go. Those are our off-meta showcases for this week. Let me know what you guys think of all of these deck lists. Don't forget to go register and play in the Pocket Mads Pocket Tournament number 11. It's going to be a ton of fun here. I've been really busy in my own personal life, so I haven't done like a ton of streams or like interactions over in the Discord, but yeah, I think that a lot of people are feeling the effects of which I sort of said they would feel this season, which was that everybody loved it for about, 3-4 weeks because it was really, really good. But no matter how good, a season is, no matter how good a metagame is, unfortunately, things get figured out. Things get sort of min-maxed. And, at the end of the day, like nothing's going to be fresh forever. And unfortunately, we have like a 6-7 week season with Mega Rising, and it's just a bit long. That's just the reality of it. It's just a bit long. Right now, we have about 2 weeks until the next set comes out. We have about, a week and a half of ranked, and then we have about a week and a half until the set is announced. So really, we just have another week until sort of the news, the updates and the leaks start flowing in, and the rake season's about to finish. But that's just the reality of it, right? Whenever you have a month and a half long season, things are just going to get, a little bit stale as time goes on. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the next set coming, whether it's a full set or a mini set. I assume it's a mini set like Mythical Island was, and I assume it's going to come out around December 17th. I'm curious to see what comes in it. I really am, because I think it's going to be really fun. And I think that the framework that was provided here in B1 in Mega Rising for this new era of Pokemon Pocket is really good. I think they've done a lot to improve the game. It'll be nice to have a ranked season coincide with a set release for sure. I know a lot of people are going to be interested in that because that's a whole lot of fun, especially covering on the content. We'll still be running the tournaments hopefully as well. Yeah, that's sort of my opinions on everything. Metagame, very condensed. It's very condensed. That's just what's going to happen towards the end of the seasons. But you might be surprised, because sometimes what we see is that when the metagame becomes a little bit too condensed towards the end of the season, then some things kind of pop up and surprise us. So maybe you'll be one of those people this weekend at the Pocket Mads Pocket Tournament number 11. Also, we might be going live on YouTube tonight. It is Wednesday, I believe, so probably going live tonight for some ranked battles. Probably playing more Suicune Greninja, if I'm being honest, because it's a short rank season, and if I have an opportunity to climb, I'm gonna climb, right? I only have so much time, and if I'm playing, only a couple hundred games of ranked in a season, I would like to just play something where I think I can win, and I do think Suicune Greninja's broken. So anyway, maybe I won't. Who knows? I'm just saying, you got to be ready for it. But come tune into the live stream tonight, probably around 9 p.m. Eastern time, for some ranked battle gameplay. It's gonna be a good time. Anyway, let's wrap up the video here. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you guys later. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Register for the tournament. Join the Discord. All that good stuff. All right. Bye.